namaste everyone. Good to see you. Trey, Tejas, Jatila, all right, representing the entire Shambhavananda Sangha right here. Way to go. We've got a birthday boy here in the house, Andre. Why don't you come on the screen, just wave. Got our work study here, Andre. Happy birthday to Andre. Right on. He's been living here for about 3 months now. He's a great asset to the ashram. He's doing awesome. And then Daniel and Christina are off screen at the moment, but we got more people than it looks like. So if you're wondering about that intro screen, Inner Flow, it's sort of a new direction I'm sort of gently steering the Thursday class in, where I'd like to do more yoga to start our classes together. I find it to be incredibly beneficial for myself. I think I have a lot to share with people in terms of doing more yoga, asana, and I feel like it will set us up for having a deeper meditation practice. So I hope you're on board with that. Totally understand if yoga is not your thing, but I think there's a lot to uncover there for all of us. So we're going to do like a 30-minute yoga practice, and then we're going to take about 5 minutes to look at some philosophy for the Vijnana Bhairava. I've got a new take on last week's Dharana, so it's pretty fun. And then we'll meditate with the remaining time in class. So hopefully that sounds fun. But we are going to start with yoga. So take a moment. You don't have to be on screen. As long as you can see me, hear me, you're good. If you want to tilt your screen down so I can see you, I'll check you out every now and then and maybe give an adjustment kind of cue. We'll see. But don't stress it if you're not. And so make sure you have enough space. This yoga blanket, is what I use. You don't have to have a yoga mat. We don't even really need props today. I'll try to remember in the future if we do. And so for you guys, go ahead. Yeah, just find your space. Get your space. We're going to begin on our backs, and I'm going to cue up the Dharana. Ooh. Our Dharana, hold on, I'm going to wait till I'm on the screen to talk. Okay. Our Dharana this week, our focal point, our meditative focal point for during asana and seated meditation, has to do with taking in and transforming the way that we relate to our inner landscape. And so we'll see some quotes later in class from Swami Rudrananda, lineage teacher, about our these cosmic vitamins that we want to take in. And so I'm going to read the Dharana out loud for you to work with in your body and with your breath. And then I'll keep referring back to it during practice. Feel your substance, bones, flesh, blood, saturated with cosmic essence. Feel your substance, bones, flesh, blood, saturated with cosmic essence. Gently draw the feet a little bit towards the sit bones. The knees can bend and they can touch each other, sort of knock in towards midline. Hands comes to navel. Your hands come to your navel. Breathe in through the nose, and we'll breathe out slowly through pursed lips as if blowing through a small straw. Take your time with this exhale. It's really pleasant when you just slow yourself down and have this long, slow exhale through pursed lips as if blowing through a small straw. This is the Shitali breath. Numerous studies have shown this pranayama, this simple pranayama, to have significant down-regulating qualities for your nervous system and to slow your heart rate down. Do your third one. And then you can extend the leg and arm that are closer to the screen so you can see me. Extending the leg and arm to the floor will allow you to easily roll onto your side body. Just saying hello to the side body with some easy rolls. Just unlocking that side body, that rib cage, the lateral line. Leica, Chaitanya, Nandama, welcome. So good to see you. When you feel like you've said hello to that side body, giving it a little bit of circulation, a little bit of breath, you can roll back onto your back. Draw both feet to hips width. This time the feet are parallel, like on railroad tracks. Hands come down next to the sit bones. And then just gently, now remember this word, unweight your hips. That means you don't actually lift your hips. You just unweight them to feel your abdominals react. It's a very deep, subtle abdominal reaction, not a superficial one. And then allow the hips to come back to their full weight in the floor. Extend the other arm and leg, so you'll be turning away from the monitor. And just say hello to the other rib cage. Real simple here. Just some easy side body rolling. Just noticing if one side maybe had a little bit more tightness than the other. And we can come back to our backs, drawing both feet back towards the sit bones. And then play with your hip tilt a little bit so you can tuck the tailbone under, which will flatten the low back. And then you can sort of poke the tailbone down into the floor and arch the low back away from the floor. Pelvic tilts. And do a couple of those in either direction. And then ask yourself, where's neutral? Where would neutral be? Where would your spine be neutral? Where would it not be flat and not be super arched? You'd have your low back would subtly be off the floor, but not too much. Everybody's a little different. And then from there, unweighting the pelvis, you should feel your abdominals start to gently contract, and it might pull your pelvis into an even better position. If you slowly release that musculature, you'll feel your pelvis come back into the floor. And then if you take your time with it, if you really slow down and you slowly unweight your pelvis, it naturally draws towards a pretty neutral position before lifting up. It's like magic. Listening to your body is like magic. It changes the dynamic. Do one more time. Totally relax your hips. And then take your time unweighting, and you'll watch as your pelvis will draw towards a better alignment in order to lift up holistically. And I haven't even left the floor really. And then after you maybe have done that, we've done a couple of times, you're a centimeter off the floor, you can relax the hands down and you can continue to lift your hips. But really the height is not the thing. It's maintaining this sense of integration through your hips. We have a gentle work happening in the glutes. And if you sort of draw the heels magnetically towards your shoulders, like as if they're drawing in and back and down, you'll feel the hamstrings turn on as well. And then we can slowly lower back down. Notice the vertebrae by vertebrae possibilities. Since we started so well, you can end so well. If you like, you can walk your toes out maybe 3 or 4 inches forward. And this will allow you to work a little bit more significantly with your back line, with the glutes and the hamstrings. Awakening the glutes and the hamstrings can help unload pressure that accumulates in the front of our hips. If the hips are sort of doing all the work in the front of the hips, the only way to really let them go, other than stretching a little bit, is to strengthen their opposing musculature in the back of the hip. And that's what we're doing. So walking the feet just a little further forward than normal. And then you just isometrically draw those heels back towards your sit bones. You'll feel right away the hamstrings, right? And the glutes turning on in your back line. And you don't even have to lift up. You can feel it already. And then that little bit of lift, hips coming away from the floor. And you can really feel the backside of the legs and the glutes supporting you. Watch out that the knees don't splay open. We want to keep them in line with our feet, with our toes, sort of pointing the same direction as the toes. And that gradual lift will extend all of us to different heights, but you're feeling where it's coming from the whole time. As the hips reach up, you can feel a little bit more engagement in those glutes and hamstrings, slowing everything down. And then for fun, you can unweight one foot, doesn't leave the floor, unweight, you'll feel the other glute working a lot harder, and then unweight the other foot. And so you just feel like you're passing the work back from one glute and hamstring to the other. During the holiday season, a lot of us can be in our seats and in our chairs a lot more than normal. You're visiting with friends, you're visiting with family, and just keep passing that work back between the glutes by unweighting each foot. And awakening the glutes and hamstrings can help sort of lock that front of the hip that gets so tight. When you feel like the work is balanced out between the glutes, we're going to slowly roll the spine towards the mat, taking our time. Feels so good to take your time. Finally, the tailbone reaches. You feel like relief. You're on the floor. The knees can knock in towards one another. Hands can rest on the navel. And see if you can feel a slight lift in your belly as you breathe in, and a slight depression in the navel as you breathe out through the nose. This ensures that you're using your diaphragm to move sort of that space around inside to make room for the lungs. And since we're here and we're in a really good position to do this, and it would be a complementary action, next we're going to just say hello to the deep core and the sort of front half of this core cylinder through some very easy toe taps, and they start with the hands coming back to the floor. Again, check in with your pelvis. You want it to be neutral, so not too arched and not too flat, and you should feel a very slight reaction from your pelvis the minute you unglue or unvelcro one foot from the floor. But imagine like your feet are velcroed and you're going to try and pull the foot away from the velcro without breaking through the velcro. You're not actually going to separate the velcro pieces. That's unweighting. Slowly put that foot back into its velcro holster, and then the other foot can almost pull but not pull apart this velcro. Once again, as you're walking foot to foot, you should feel that this action, this work you're doing, is actually able to align your pelvis from the inside out. If you overdo it, if you do it too quickly, yeah, you'll move right into the superficial muscle layers. You'll be right in your patterns. But if you go at 50% of your normal pace, you should feel your pelvis move and align in a very neutral position. So you're teaching your core how to turn on and how to sort of help support your alignment. And the next time you can let that velcro sort of break free, foot comes a little off, it moves forward and up slowly, maybe to 45 degrees, and you're again noticing the work deep within the torso. And then we'll slowly lower it. And then the other foot is going to take its time breaking free of that velcro. If you really feel the moment it breaks free of the velcro, you'll have that connection as the foot lifts. If you go too quickly at the beginning, you can't really find that connection again until you start over. and then lowering. Take your time. And then one more time, we're going to lift that first foot up. Velcro, lifting slowly. It comes up to parallel to the floor for a moment. Pausing here. And then you're going to alternate. You're going to try to lift the other foot, and they're going to slowly change places. It should feel like a lot of work. If it's too easy, you're going too quickly. Slow it down to find the work. And the next time, when you feel like you've balanced it out, you've done both sides, both feet find the floor, knees come together, and we pause to absorb some vitamins here. Feel your substance, bones, flesh, blood, saturated with cosmic essence. It's easy to feel that after you've done a little bit of good work. It feels like you do get flooded with dopamine, with oxygen circulating through your bloodstream. And just breathe it in. Once again, we'll extend the arm and leg that are closest to the monitor. We're going to push over onto our side, except we'll make our way all the way to our bellies. From there, you're going to flatten your hands on the floor and bring your forehead to the tops of your hands. We're going to say hello one more time to this back line as a way of offloading, unloading the work in our hips. With the head on the hands, you can obviously do a little crocodile breath where you inhale and feel that belly trying to push into the floor. The weight of your body becomes the counter action to that, meaning that the inhale is actually strengthening to your diaphragm because it's trying to lift your body off the floor. Don't overdo it though. All right, we're going to revisit the Velcro concept here, except the tops of your feet are Velcro to the floor. So from here, with the tops of the feet Velcro to the floor, slowly exhale and feel like you're unweighting one foot. Remember, you're not going to rip the Velcro off of the other piece. You're just unweighting and seeing what happens. And slowly back into the Velcro slot and then the other foot. All right, so here we go. Back to the first foot, and we're going to slowly lift that foot off of the Velcro. And as you do that, you should feel the leg awakening. It's almost like the leg's lifting itself. The back line of the body waking up, and you can slowly lift the head away from the hands. And just notice this gentle arc through the whole back side of your body. This gentle arc is really just it's a lot of work happening on a very subtle level. Again, this is what opens the heart. This is what opens the hips. It's not all about stretching. It's also about awakening this musculature that gets sort of dormant. Slowly down. One breath in. Feel the diaphragm nudging that belly down into the floor. Another breath in, and as you slowly exhale, again, on Velcro the other foot. And watch your foot lift. Don't lift your foot, watch your foot lift. Be a little bit different with your approach, releasing doership. Feel the body doing its work. We're getting out of the way. It's less than you think to have a bigger impact. Slowly the head can arc away, or rather the back can arc away, the chest can arc away from the floor. And feel that whole back line of the body, this gentle, it's the bottom of a humongous circle. Remember, this would be like a big circle, and we'd just be a little part of the arch. Watch your own neck. I noticed my chin sort of coming forward, I think because I'm talking. But the chin should be slightly tucked. Back line of the neck is long, like you're reaching the crown of the head up and away. Slowly lowering down. Head comes down too. One more breath as the diaphragm presses down into the belly, pressing it into the floor. Hands come underneath shoulders, pressing ourselves back to Bhaktasana for a breath, a little counter pose, lengthening that backside of the body. And again, take a moment here to absorb the cosmic vitamins. Feel your substance, bones, flesh, blood, saturated with cosmic essence. The back line of our body is often overlooked. It's hard to see it. But in this posture, you can really feel the length of the back line of your body. You can feel the length of the spine. You can feel the length of this back line that arcs around the glutes into the backs of the legs. And the arms even sort of act like their own extension of that line. And you can keep your awareness there on that back line of the body as you kick down gently into the shins and slowly draw yourself up to kneeling. But I bet you can do it slower than normal because you paid so much attention to this line. Notice how you're even standing here on your knees. Notice the space that you might feel in the front body and the back body. Continuing with our theme of healthy hips, unlocking those hips. The hips can go back as if in a chair pose. This flexes the hips. And then as you scoop the tailbone under and you sort of roll up through the bottom of the spine to the upper spine, you're actually decrystallizing these sticky hip flexors. So the hips reach back, you crease at the hips, and then you scoop the tailbone under and you roll up the spine. Do that a couple more times. You can have the hands on the hips if that helps bring your awareness there. You don't have to. So it's almost like this mini roll up, but you really feel it on the front of the hips a lot. Decrystallizing these matted layers of muscle on the front of the hip. They get stuck. Awesome. Next time you come up, you can just stay up. Something fun for your hips, a little hip health note. We're going to go over to the right knee, and you're going to lift the weight off of that left knee and just sort of play with your balance for a moment. Let the hip do some sort of micro processing. It's hard to get into the sockets of our musculature, whether it's our shoulder or our hip. It's hard to get that stability exercise training that can really bring a lot of healing to these joints that we just sort of sit on all day. You know? And so that little bit of balancing is like a microprocessor. It's warming these little muscles that surround the hip. You can do it with your shoulder too. I've had to do rehabilitation for the shoulder that does just this. That back leg's going to actually walk all the way forward, planting wide to the side. Hands come inside of the foot. And draw some big circles with your hips. Hula hoops. And this isn't really about stretching. This is about flossing. This is about promoting glide. Again, these layers, they get matted. And a lot of the relief we need isn't always from stretching, but it's also from promoting glide like we're doing now. It's from strengthening counteractive muscles. So try the other direction. Good, and then you can turn towards the foot that's in front of you. Point the ball mount of the foot forward slightly, come up onto the heel, and you can wag your tail. Wagging the tail stretches the stretch across the hamstring. It's a very wide muscle. There's 3 different muscles in your hamstring. And so they span the whole width of your leg. So it's good to spread that stretch out, not just do one static motion. Great, we'll bring the hands back in for stability. The foot can glide back. And we'll take a moment, sit back onto your heels. One breath here in Bhaktasana. Slowly rolling up. Rolling those shoulders back a couple of times. And then we'll sort of finish this series here on the other knee, taking time for some balancing. Focal point always helps, of course. If this is easy for you, then, blur your vision, lift your focal point, or have no focal point, close your eyes. Try to feel the warmth around the socket that you're balancing in. Try to feel those glutes warming. Last time I was talking a lot, so I'm trying to give this some more time. Don't want to just do a lot on one hip and not on the other. We're going to bring that foot all the way up and out. Excellent. Planting hands. You can do some big tents with your fingertips if you need more space. But again, focus on glide. Other direction. Great, and then you can turn to face that foot. And wagging your tail, you're up on the heel. Rocking on the heel, there is connective tissue that wraps from your plantar fascia to your gastrocs, or soleus as well. And it wraps over the heel, the calcaneus. That's that padding, that the reason your bone isn't right on the floor. And this can become pretty tight too. And so this little bit of rocking not only spreads the stretch across your hamstring, but it also massages tension that can accumulate in this connective tissue. And so this is actually you're doing like double work right now, massaging and stretching. Awesome. And then from there, plant the foot underneath you. And I want you to watch me do it once, and then you're going to do it, okay? It's called stand up, look up. So you look up while you stand up, and it makes a really fluid motion. So you're going to look up and stand up, and then go right back down. Look up, stand up. Try the other leg. Go back down, other leg. Look up, stand up. Cool. One more time to balance it out. This time you're going to look up, stand up, and walk. And walk it out. We just did a lot of hip work, right? Try to walk normal, relaxed. Relax your shoulders, relax your arms, sort of flop them around as you go. You can walk small, but you can walk fluid. We just did a lot of work for the hips, so now we're doing something that you can't recreate in any way except for walking. It's like the ultimate hip mobilization practice. At this point, you can do any complementary work that you'd like to do for your body, and we are going to meet up seated. Finishing whatever counter pose you might be working on. Finding your seat. hopefully your hips feel good. That was a birthday present for you, by the way. We had some tight hips in the room, and for a birthday present, I wanted to teach that flow. Check, check. You guys hear me okay? No. This hasn't, oh, okay, it probably was just off for a minute. Okay, cool. Hopefully your hips are feeling great. I wanted to mention there was a request for a hip restorative class, so it was a birthday present for Andre. So hopefully everybody enjoyed that. I know my hips feel way different. So we're going to look again at the Dharana that we focused on. We focused on it last week, but I have sort of another angle and some additional quotes to inspire our meditation practice this week. So as we know, this Dharana is about sort of bringing that visualization of that cosmic essence into our being, right? Because even though we all might think of ourselves as meditators, we have a body and we have to learn how to work with that body. And so this Dharana sort of invites us to like go through this experience of our body, of our breath, and infuse it with this cosmic essence. And so I found a couple of quotes from Swami Rudrananda that I thought really spoke to this cosmic potential. And so just give me 1 sec while I pull it up for the people in the room here. And then I can go. There we go. Okay, so I'm going to read this first quote from Rudy. Everything in the universe is energy, or a manifestation of energy. And the purpose of our spiritual work is to become one with that flow of higher creative energy coming from God through the cosmos. One must ask deeply in the heart to receive this energy and have it flow through one's being ever more deeply. Asking from the very depths of oneself to surrender or attain a state of nothingness is the key to opening oneself to the flow of higher energy, to open to higher cosmic energy. So as we know, our work in meditation is really about opening. It's not about recreating the wheel, so to speak. We already are the self. This energy already is flowing, and our work is to open to that flow. On the yoga mat, we sort of worked with it by saying, like, let your body organize itself. You just really pay attention and work slowly. Similarly, when Rudy teaches meditation in his book, he often emphasizes breathing very slowly, really slowing all the processes down. Perhaps this is to inspire more sensation, more feeling, more inner feeling. We see that we have to ask. And the Dharanas themselves sort of remind us of this process. It's not like you just repeat the Dharana once and you got it, but there's this like subtle asking that comes with repeating the Dharana over and over and really going through that visualization over and over. It's a sort of a way of asking. I thought that was applicable as well. And of course, where we ask from, sort of determines the work or the energy that we receive. And as he ends with saying that the thing that we're opening to is this cosmic energy, this cosmic flow, which is the essence of this Dharana. I think it's a pretty pleasant Dharana to work with, and we'll work with it again here obviously in a moment. But sometimes opening to this kind of energy can be uncomfortable. Even just the apathy that we might go through during our day of like, I think I'd just like rather veg out a little on my phone, or I think I'd rather just, when we know there's this part of us that goes, I could breathe into my heart right now, like I could do a little mantra right now, that it can be uncomfortable to stay open to this flow. And so this next quote from Rudy sort of speaks to that slight discomfort that comes from actually opening to this cosmic energy. It is a decidedly uncomfortable feeling to have your nature changing and the chemistry within your body assimilating these cosmic vitamins. is much like having your parents say, "Take it, it's good for you." I always have to talk myself into swallowing these spiritual manifestations, and absorbing them always throws my chemistry into a turmoil. As the increase in these energies comes into my being, I see the changes that are manifesting themselves in my ordinary life. The sweetness that is growing in my being is manifested by the people around me. Only by loving and serving them can I accept the wonder and goodness of my life evolving into this. So Rudy says this is decidedly uncomfortable, the idea of opening to this energy. Maybe not right now, but like throughout your day, you're going to encounter times when it's not as easy as other times. And that we sort of have to be our own parents and sort of give ourselves this, like, come on, like, take a breath, feel the present, resist distraction. And that this doesn't necessarily mean our life is all peaches and cream, like Babaji often relates to us. That changing and growing can feel like turmoil inside, and that we sort of have to come to terms with that experience. And then he concludes by saying, we see that this inner work manifests the change that we want to see around us. That he sees the inner work having this effect. As Babaji often tells us, my life is better than I could have ever imagined it, not because I changed it, but because I just did my practice and let it change from within. So let's put that into practice through the contemplation and work with our Dharana. As I've been teaching lately, you're welcome to turn away from the screen towards a deity, and don't feel like you have to look at the screen during your meditation. I'm going to pivot to look at the main Murti here in our shrine as well. We can all face that way. And just a note, if anything was to happen with the audio or whatever, you can just unmute and let me know if I don't see you, because I'm not facing the screen as easily. Okay. All right, from your seat, hopefully you have a very balanced seat today. You feel very buoyant from the hips as your base up through the spine. And notice the quality of your breathing. This is probably one of the easiest ways to tap into that cosmic essence, is to breathe with quality. To breathe with quality, you probably want to slow your breath down a little bit. Studies show that we all tend to breathe a little too quick, a lot too quick for most of us. And specifically, our exhales are often much too fast. And so slowing your breath down a little, and specifically slowing down your exhale, can have a very powerful effect on your nervous system, allowing you to unlock greater depth in your meditation. Try to feel the last moments of that exhale. And if you do it well, the inhale should flow in naturally with almost no effort. Feel your substance, bones, flesh, blood, saturated with cosmic essence. Babaji often teaches that the exhale is an incredible opportunity to really feel the expansion of our inner realms, like our heart. And in this dharana, the word saturated sort of alludes to that expansiveness we seek. And so your inhale has a great way of drawing your focus to the heart. And the exhale is really a great opportunity to feel that saturation of cosmic essence flooding through every cell, every pore, every nook. Feel your substance, bones, flesh, blood, saturated with cosmic essence. For me, this dharana exists at a sub-level. It's below the mind. This cosmic essence, it's more like a feeling. It's more like the heart, intuition. Each of us has the power to create a cosmic experience simply by focusing on it in our heart, to draw those cosmic vitamins towards us, as Rudy talked about, through this deep wish. If you want to feel cosmic, then ask for it. let your breath get more subtle so that you can feel beyond the mind. Let your breath be more and more natural. Feel your substance, bones, flesh, blood, saturated in cosmic essence. It can be helpful to know that for me, even when I'm not feeling cosmic, simply being present, to my understanding, would be a practice in alignment with this Dharana. Simply staying present, continuous presence, feels cosmic, feels above our daily tension. It's interesting to consider that the only way to absorb these cosmic vitamins that Rudy described them is through this surrender, is through meditation. That though it might not feel like a lot is happening, we actually have something bigger than our everyday happening. You're absorbing cosmic energy. Feel your heart space. Feel the present. Stay connected in continuity to your breath. And this is what draws in the cosmic vitamins. let your breath move a little slower. Notice how much awareness it immediately draws in. Hold that awareness in your heart. And feel yourself saturated with cosmic essence. Namaste. If you're feeling a little bit of that glow inside, you can take your last moment here to breathe into that space of the heart and then quietly offer up vertically through the crown of the head some of the merit of your practice as a way of storing it and simultaneously offering it up. Thanks everyone for your awareness and your patience and your practice, for being here. Namaste. Hope you have a great rest of your weekend and you enjoyed that cosmic essence Dharana. I'd love to hear how it's going with your yoga practice. If anybody's starting to feel like, oh, okay, this does feel pretty good, feel free to reach out to me. I'm always excited to see how it's evolving for y'all. But we'll see you next week. Love a new Dharana. See you, Leka. Good to see you, Chaitanya. Tejas. Happy holidays.